Hey, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about a big thing in LLM right now, and that's LangChain. So let's start with a bit of a background. When tools like GPT-3 rolls out, software engineers went from training up their own models to now finding ways to build interfaces and agents powered by GPT-3. So now GPT-3 is what is known as a large language model, maybe the most well-known one out there, but there are many large language models, there are many LLMs, and some of the ones that you might come across as Meta's Llama, Google's Lambda, Bloom, Stanford Alpaca is another one, and there may be many more. So as these different LLMs emerges and a new landscape of tools open up, it's a matter of time before a standard interface comes around to provide a consistent developer experience around building tools regardless of which LLM you're using, whether you're using GPT-3, 4, otherwise, right? So LangChain itself outlines 6 key areas they want to address, and we'll get to explore that in future videos, but today we're going to just dive in, write some code and see what LangChain is about and how it empowers you, the developer, to build amazing AI applications. By combining these LLMs with your data and taking some text, creating the embeddings for it, and then feeding it into the LLM to build your own question and answer. So all of the code examples would be on my GitHub as always. If you want to get some hands-on, you can hop over to GitHub repository, do a fork, then clone it down to your machine. Now the dependency is really just LangChain, so you could just do pip install LangChain in your virtual environment and just move on. But since this video series is about exploration and experimentation, I'm going to have a few more dependencies to cover a broader field of usage patterns, and if you care about all of that, then after cloning it, just run pip install -r. -r stands for recursively requirements.txt, and you'll be ready to go. So you just have to do this. So -r says recursively install from the requirements.txt. So I'm just going to give you a quick idea of what is already in my environment. So Torch and Torch Vision has been there. You don't really need them, but it's there. But you also have Chroma DB, you have DuckDB, and you will have LangChain right here. And once you have that, you just have to open up your favorite IDE. And of course, that's Visual Studio Code, so start writing some code right there. So I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to just call it demo.py. Currently a blank file. Now you will need to have an OpenAI API key, and you may be tempted to just write it in your editor like that. API key, and you put in your keys in here, right? But this is probably not very good practice. You can set it up in your code, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend setting up as an environment variable. So what I want you to do instead is to go in there and put a new file called .env and then set it up right here. So OpenAI API key. Setting up as an environment variable means that you don't have to worry about putting this in a code and then accidentally committing it to the public repository. It's also just better software engineering practice to not have it as a string in your code. But we also want to make sure to now put in a git ignore file here to immediately ignore the .env file, so you also don't make the mistake of accidentally putting them in the GitHub, right? So now it's going to be git ignored. And to test that it works, let's just create a simple string and then use OpenAI to generate the embeddings for it. So how do we load the variables in our .env file? So you could do from .env import load.env and then just basically call the load.env. And that would basically just look into your env file and find all the variables loaded right in here. And to test that whether it works or not, let's make one call to OpenAI, and you need to make sure that you have internet connection while doing this exercise. So we're going to say from LangChain.embeddings import OpenAI embeddings, and let's initialize it by creating an embeddings instance. And we say OpenAI embeddings. Now let's add some text to embed, to do this embedding, right? So let's say Algorithm is a data science school based in Indonesia, and Supertype is a data science consultancy. And that should be good enough, right? So now what we want to do is to have this text being embedded, meaning encoded into this numerical format that we can use to train our LLMs, right? So let's go ahead and just create an embeddings. And this is quite simple. This is just going to be embeddings dot what? Embed document. So there is a few things here, but we want to embed documents and put them into a list, right? I'm going to have my text only. So if you have multiple things you want to embed, put them in the list, but I'm just going to have that. It's good enough. Then all you need to do is you just say print doc embeddings. Now we're going to save all of this, and I'm going to open up my terminal so you can do it built-in terminal. You want to make sure that you're in the right virtual environment, which has all of the dependencies required, which is LangChain mostly. And I'm going to just say python demo.py. And there you have it. So you have the embeddings. And this is the numerical representation of this sentence, right? The string, Algorithm is a data science school based in Indonesia, and Supertype is a data science consultancy. And it's taking all of that and just build out the embeddings for it. So here's a quick guide on OpenAI's website. So platform.openai.com/doc/guides embeddings. And because it built this numerical representation, you could do arithmetic on it, you could do comparison on it, you could say, okay, well, if this is the sentence, find me other sentences that are semantically similar to this earlier sentence. Of course, you're going to be built by that, so you're going to be built based on number of tokens and an input sent. So I don't want to put a very long string in here, this is just good enough. And it tells you how to get embedding. So you could pass in your own OpenAI API key, pass in your tags, and basically get that for a small amount of cost. Once you have the embeddings, you may be able to visualize them in a 2D plot. There are actually some utility tools. One of them, I've built this about 4 years ago. This is an embedding visualization tool and also some utility for you to create your own embeddings, for example. And if you look at it, I'm just going to show you a picture of that. So this is all in Bahasa Indonesia. So it's a little bit, you probably don't understand the language, but you will see, for example, these are international brands. You see that if I train it on a massive corpus and I have millions of different words in the dictionary, well, the embeddings are gonna, these are just two-dimensional embeddings, right? So on the x-axis, that's the first dimension, and the y-axis is the second dimension. And if I were to plot them all out, I could see that words that have semantically similar meanings, they tend to group together. So for example, smartphone, Nokia, Google, iPhone, iOS, macOS. From BlackBerry, they're gonna be somewhere around here. These are all the banks in Indonesia. So if you have some background in NLP and you know what embeddings mean, OpenAI basically does that for a cost, right? So it says, okay, we can do that for you and just create embeddings for you using a pre-trained model in here, all right? So let's go back to our code. And since we know that it works, we have some assurance that our API key is working. So let's go and delete most of this now. We don't need that. You could either just comment them out if you want. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to paste a folder of data, some data sets, into this directory. So let me paste that right here, and you will see it coming up as news. But this is the downstream of a pipeline that basically looks at all the news and generate news summaries. So you can see things like, so I work with a few companies in the coal mining industry in Indonesia. And so we basically build a pipeline that look at all the news intelligence, market intel, right? Collect them, stream them into a set of tags. And so I want to show you this set of news. So for example, this is a summary, this is some keywords, read more. So all of this is programmatically generated. You don't need to know how to do that, but if you watch my other videos about web scraping and stuff, similar to that, right? So generate a tons of news, and then we have those news. Now I want to build a Q&A that look at those news, target those use cases, and then ask questions about those things. So I want to be able to ask questions, for example, how much did the global seaborne coal loadings increase by? I want to be able to ask that in natural language, and I want to get an answer for that. I want to be able to ask a question about China's increase, I don't know, power capacity that is powered by coal. I want to be able to ask about China or Indonesia's coal imports and whether they would expect it to increase or not. I want to be able to ask questions like that, right? Q&A, doing Q&A with my own data set, right? So I have the data set in the folder called news. If you want to just get some random data to work with, it's fine. If you don't have any random data, just go to my GitHub and click on this repository and just go and download the repository. It's going to be in there, copy of that news, all right? So I'm going to close that out. So remember how we did the embeddings? We're going to do the same thing again. So we could just uncomment that out, bring it here. But instead of actually putting in this hot string, well, we don't want this string anymore. This is irrelevant, right? What I want to do is I want to be able to load in the text from this folder. So how would I do that? So you could create a loader, and good thing for you because LangChain also provide that out of the box. So you could do something like from LangChain.documentLoaders import. And there are mainly two things that I use here. So the first one is the directory loader, and the second one is the text loader. So you could use one of these two. For example, I could do something like loader, text loader, and I could have my news/summary.txt. So that's just gonna read in this particular summary. But what if I have a lot of them? What if I have 500 of them, right? So that's when you don't want to use a text loader and you would use a directory loader instead. So I'm gonna comment that out as well. I'm gonna say loader.directory loader. Now you just have to specify where is the directory, and here it's in the news directory. So that's it. You could target a certain pattern as well. I could say take everything that ends with, I don't know, .markdown format, .txt format, .pdf format, what have you, right? So now that you load the data in, you need to print it out, right? And maybe confirm how many, what is the length of that, for example. So let's go ahead and just say documents, loader.load, Then what I like to do is we just print the length of it, just to make sure that things are working. Okay, so let me save all of that. Let me just run python demo.py, make sure things are still working. Okay, that's good. We know that it's working, so I could either comment that out or you could just leave it there. But really, I want to take the characters, each of these characters, I want to break them into separate words. So tokenizing, for example. And you could again use an utility tool. So like to say from LangChain text splitter import character text splitter. Then you bring it down here and you just have to generate your splitter text. So text splitter, character text splitter, and you give it some parameters. So for example, you specify the chunk size. How much do you want to chunk? How do you want to chunk them by? You could chunk them by 2,500, and I want to just make sure that there is no overlap. Then I would just split all of my text. So I'm going to say use the text splitter that I initialized earlier and split documents, call a method on it, give it a name, bring it here. So in fact, I probably should bring it up here like that and just create a space between them so it's a bit more cleaner. It's really up to you how you want to structure a code, but this part is in charge of the loading, this part is in charge of maybe transformation and a bit of cleansing, right? So this is the loading part, this is the transformation part. If you want to, you could go ahead and add print and just print that out, right? We don't need to do that, but if you want to, you could do that. Okay, now we need a vector store. The one I use is Chroma. It basically is a vector store to store all of the text, but here I have it open on the website as well. So Chroma is an open source embedding database, right? It takes the query and instead of passing it directly to the LLM, it does one layer of Chroma handles at this level. Chroma says, okay, this is your queries, and it takes the documents, build the embeddings out. This is where it stores all of those things. So just now we learned about embeddings, right? It takes each text, put them into a numerical representation so you can see which words are semantically close with each other. But all of that needs to be held somewhere. So Chroma provides this layer, and then it takes that and it adds that to an LLM context window, and then you generate your answers. Alright, so it gives you tools to store the embeddings and store the metadata, embed documents and queries, search embeddings. So really think of it like an index store. In Python, you can run that in memory, or you can run it on a client server mode. Go back to coding. So let's bring in Chroma. So we said from LangChain.vectorstores import Chroma. Right. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna say create a document search, and the way we do that is say Chroma.from documents. We want to pass in our text here, the one that we already cleaned, right? So we want to split the documents and then pass all of them in there. And remember, we have the embeddings that we have up, that we initialize up there. We want to pass that in here as well. So we want to say embeddings. So now we have two things. So this is the text that we cleaned, and then this is the embeddings. And really, once that's done, you're ready to do the Q&A. So we want to do some sort of retrieval Q&A. We want to say that we retrieve some information and then do some Q&A, question and answer. So let's go ahead and also import from LangChain.chains import retrieval Q&A, right? So that's the one we want to import. We also want to import OpenAI itself. So let's import OpenAI because we want to use OpenAI to do that. You could use any other sort of LLM, but in this case here, I'm going to use OpenAI, so GPT, and I'm going to use this retrieval Q&A. The chain for question answering against an index. So we created an index in here, then we basically just say, okay, using the index, do a Q&A, all right? So it's a Q&A, and then let's go ahead and say retrieval QA, which is the one that we bring in from above, say from chain type. Now we pass in a couple of things here. The LLM itself is just going to be OpenAI. This could be, and this is why it's so beautiful. It gives you a very unified interface to working with different kind of LLM. And so this is kind of plug and play, right? If you don't want to use OpenAI, you could use another LLM. Just replace this line with the LLM. So kind of a very nice unified interface to do things. It's a very good developer experience. Then all we need to do is to say specify a retriever, and in our case here, it would just be the doc search, which is from here. This is the vector store. And we say take that and convert that into a retriever. So this is the vector store. In fact, you could name it vector. And here you can name it vector. So it takes the vector, convert that to a retriever. And you're done with that. So now all you need to do is to just say QA run. And you put in your questions. So you can say ask questions, for example, right? I'm gonna maybe, now instead of doing that though, I'm gonna create a higher level function and I'm gonna call it query and pass in my query here because I want to specify a couple of things there. So for example, I want to be specifying my query and then I want my answer. And my answer is basically just the result of running QA run, just like what I explained to you earlier. you actually want to put a comma after that. Maybe put a space for this as well to make it be pretty when it prints that out. So it's going to print out the query, it's going to print out the answer. And now you're ready to generate some queries. So I'm going to maybe ask a few questions here. So the first question is I'm going to ask maybe what are the effects? Because I've seen some, I've seen that earlier, like legislations and stuff. So I'm going to say what are the effects of legislations surrounding emissions on the Australian coal market. So you could spell that out, coal market. But let's ask a few questions. Let's ask a second question, third question. Let's go with another question. We can say, oh, what are China's plans with renewable energy? Okay, and then finally, let's ask another question. Is there an export ban on coal in Indonesia? And maybe I could make it a bit open-ended, say why, right? And now that I'm ready, I'm going to clear my screen out, okay? And I'm going to just go ahead and just say python demo.py. So embedded DuckDB. I have a video about DuckDB if you want to learn more about DuckDB, that's also there. But here we have the query and answer. That's really cool. Let's take a look at the answers. So the first question is, what are the effects of legislation surrounding emissions on the Australian coal market? And here's the answer. The legislation requires total emission from major industrial facilities to decrease and not just be offset. This will result in a 205 million ton reduction in emissions by 2030, which will lead to a reduction in coal exports and an increase in energy costs in Australia. Now, the second question I asked was, what are China's plans with renewable energy? And the answer was China's three state-owned energy majors, Sinopec, CNPCC, and OOC, plan to invest over 100 billion yuan in renewable energy to 2025 with the aim of achieving net zero carbon dioxide emissions by 2060. So give me a few more details in here. And then finally, is there an export ban? Is there an export ban on coal in Indonesia and why? And so the answer is yes, Indonesia has implemented a ban on coal exports since 2021 to ensure adequate supply for its state-owned electricity companies, and this ban has disrupted Supramax and Panamax markets in the Pacific region and has caused bulkers to be unable to sail out of Indonesian ports. Right, so these are a very simple system for querying and answering, and I think it serves as an adequate introduction to LangChain and what you can do with it and how easy it is to just plug and play. If I don't want to be bounded to OpenAI. If I find a better one, I want to swap that out. I want to be able to plug and play some of this, right, and mix and match different kind of chains. And so that's why the name is called LangChain, language chains, right? And so if there is a lot of interest in this topic and there are people who want to watch more of this, I can create more videos, maybe go into more advanced usage examples and stuff. In fact, there are some things that I'm currently doing with LangChain is I'm doing it with like SQL databases. So I'm gonna maybe just show you a bit of that. Probably not gonna run it. And you can have like SQL database chain. You could have your DB URI. And again, I like to load things in using my environment variable. So the database URL. Or you could just specify them into .env and then they will be loaded for you anyway. Then you could have your DB SQL database from URI. And then you just have to pass in your URI. And what's cool with this is you can now go at the bottom and you can now do your, for example, you could say something like SQL database chain, specify LLM. That's basically your OpenAI model at the top. This is the same OpenAI model up here. But here, instead of doing your chain type and retrieval, you're gonna say database. And the database is the one you specify up here, which is DB. And that's kind of what you need. But if you want to print out all the different things that it's doing, you can put on, you can switch on true for verbose. Actually specify, let's create this into DB chain. And we say DB chain.run. So very similar to this QA.run, this is also .run. So the QA.run, that's the run method on this. And now this is the run method on this. And you can ask questions on the database. You can do this very natural language query to which a DB. You can say like, for example, how many customers do we have last month? And it would find the right way to generate the right SQL query and then take that, go in there, figure out the answers to that, and then again reply to you in natural language. And that's really cool. So that's all of this stuff that you could do with it. I don't think I want to get into that because it's gonna make the video a bit too long. So I'm gonna stop here. If you have interest in it, if there are more interest around this topic, then let me know in the comments. Be happy to go into more details in future videos. Right, take care. See you soon. Bye.